Okay, is that working for you, Heidi? Okay. We'll go ahead and get started. We'll open with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Clark and then have opening ceremony by Heidi.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Sounds like you can. Everybody would rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are grateful of this day for the opportunity to stand together as fellow citizens and leaders. We are grateful for this country we live in, for the freedoms which we have, for the opportunity to vote. We are grateful for this town we live in, for Clear Heights, for the people who live here, and their goodness and kindness. We pray tonight that we might be able to make the best choices for the citizens and neighbors in our community. And again, we're grateful for our freedoms, for our freedom of speech and freedom of gathering, for all thou has given unto us. We say this in the name of our Savior Jesus Christ.
Amen. Ready, roll call by Haley.
Commissioner Brandon.
Here.
Commissioner Clark Moss.
Here.
Commissioner Heidi Murdoch.
Here.
Commissioner Justin Wright.
Here.
Chairman Kevin Polson.
Here.
Councilmember Jerry Anderson. Excuse. Or absent.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and start with our public comment period. This is to address anything that's not on the agenda. And again, with the same rule, if you limit your comments to 3 minutes. And I think there's noted here that Tyler White will be in attendance.
Tyler isn't going to make it tonight.
Okay. And he's, I know he sent an email out. He wanted some comments, but I think he'll be able to address it when he's present. Any other public comments before we proceed to the next portion?
See a letter from him. Do we all get that?
I don't know if he sent it to everyone. I got it a couple weeks ago. It was just, he asked if he could speak about this, and I invited him to come to the next public meeting. He said he'd try to make it, so. All right. So any presentations under number 3? Okay. We'll proceed then to reviewing and approving the Planning Commission meetings. I see we have our March, April, and previous May meetings on there. As far as March goes, I think I made some commentary in our last meeting. I don't have anything additional to that on that one. Does anyone else have some comments for March 26, 2024 meeting minutes?
Let's see if I can get it to come up. I did have a comment where, and I don't have it open in front of me yet, but where it addressed the letter from the Van Gremlins, it didn't really specify that that was a letter that was being read. I wondered if we needed to change the wording there.
Makes sense to me.
I think it kind of started like comments from find it. I thought I had it open, I don't. Does anyone have that open?
Let me check. Actually, I'm struggling with the internet right now. Okay, glad I'm not here. 1 second, let me see if I can get logged in here. So I have the other 2 open, but I don't have that one open yet.
Oh, yeah, if you could scroll down to where it was a long meeting.
Is it on page, is where it says letter submitted by I'm gonna say this wrong, Marquesa or Marquesa and Matt Van Drimlin expressed opposition, that one right there.
Right.
Maybe we can underline that or something.
I wondered if we could put, just if a letter was read on behalf of, they weren't here.
You want me to punch that? I have the red lines on right now. If you want me to just punch that in. We said letter read. Okay. Punched in a note there, Clark, if that looks all right to you. Just letter read into the record that was written by Marquesa and Matt.
Yes, I think that's great.
All right.
Do we want to do each one of these individually?
I think so. Let's
Yeah,
go
I think
through a
so.
vote on each one and move them on through.
Okay.
Anything else for the March meeting minutes? I'll entertain a motion.
I would motion we approve the minutes from March 26th.
And with your change. We
With
have
that
that. Okay. All, any second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on. April 30th, 2024 minutes. On that one, I have just a few and I've already punched them into the red lines. Mostly just little grammatical issues, nothing substantive. Yeah, just correcting a couple things that were mistyped. Any other issues or changes?
So if we use or track changes on that, then everyone can see it, right?
Yeah, so what you have to do is you go into review, you go to the track changes, and you go to that for everyone. And then it should show up for everyone. Are you guys seeing mine from a little bit earlier today? Got it, got it.
I looked at them yesterday, so.
Any other feedback on that one? Yeah, April 30th. I should just made one more now, a double space. That's my personal pet peeve, is the double space, because I do it all the time. Yeah, I know, between words. Alrighty, unless there's any others, I'll entertain a motion on that one. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll move on then to the May 6th, 2024 minutes. Same thing, I have a couple of changes that I made by red line into the document itself. Anybody have any other feedback there?
What were the changes you
On this one, let's see, so I think at one point Brian's name was in there and I just took it out because it wasn't for that. Like he wasn't part of that part. It was like the prayer and opening ceremony. Took out the word "the" somewhere, an apostrophe, and then just reworded something. So just kind of sentence flow, nothing substantive.
Brian doesn't feel bad.
I will erase Brian from the existence of our records one of these days. All right. Any other feedback? Are we ready to move on that one? Can I entertain a motion then?
Motion to approve the May 6th, 2024 minutes.
Any second?
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Alrighty, we'll move forward to our planning commission business. We do have a public hearing today. This is a rezone request from RS 12 to R16 located at 1357 East, 650 North, East Mountain. The intended name would be the East Mountain Townhomes. So if you remember the staff, you guys want to address that, and we'll invite the public to address the issue as well.
start out. I think you guys know the drill.
Wait, hold on, I don't think I had someone move to open.
Yeah, you better do that.
Okay, sorry. I knew you were going somewhere good with that, so I don't want to disrupt you later. Okay, can I get a motion to open our public hearing?
Also motion.
Any second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, go ahead, please.
Haley, can you pull up that drawing? This isn't new to the planning commission. This has been discussed a number of times. So what has happened since the last planning commission meeting is the city has now adopted an R16 zone that would accommodate this kind of development. We could have accommodated this development with our R3 zone, but the city council directed the staff to come up with an R16 zone, so that's what we've done. It allows for up to 6 units per acre. This is 6 units. You're looking at 6 units on 8/8500ths of an acre. But it still works because there's no public street. And so the numbers still work out. It still is fine. This is what the developer, Mr. Christensen, has said he's going to build. If this rezone request was approved, I would tie it to this site plan, and so that it can only be this that is built. If he proposes anything else, it's no go, but you can tie it to a specific site plan and the 6 units that are shown here, and he has indicated that that's what his intention is to move forward with this type of project if approved. So I don't think there's anything else to discuss unless you've got any specific questions. And Joe may be better able to answer those questions, and he's here tonight. So let's take the public comments and then just see what other things need to be considered.
Great. All right, I think we now have some opportunity. We have some folks available and ready today. If you can approach the lectern, let us know your name, address, and we'll give everyone 3 minutes that would like to speak.
My name is Cynthia Dinkers. I live on Quail Ridge. I'd like for the Planning Commission to answer me a question, if you could. What is the purpose of zoning?
I've addressed the body before, so this isn't really for us a question answer. I think we can maybe address your answer once we turn it back to our, but we'll take a note of your question.
Okay. I've studied this to see what the purpose of zoning is, and according to several different organizations, it's to promote economic growth and to help maintain strong and vibrant communities. It's also organized and regulated in a way that benefits both the residents and business. I'm a resident. The development of these condominiums or townhomes is not going to benefit my property. And that's a big, big concern to me. It's going to lower my property values. There's another lot just to the east of the townhomes and just to the west of the Van Dremlins that is relatively undeveloped. And at some point in time, I can see someone buying that lot from Robert Jensen and wanting to put more condominiums or townhomes on it. And so the march will continue east, up east on 650 North. I can see that. And the Van Dremlins will then have condominiums or townhomes in their west view. And I just don't think that's right. There's people that live behind where these townhomes are going to go. that is going to lower their property values. And so I don't understand why the residents, 35 residents who signed the petition that said no to this, why we're still having to fight this. From what I understand, each area should be optimized for a specific function. It's R112 right now, and that's what it should be for. That whole neighborhood there. Now, I realize there's the condominiums that buffer, that sit right on Mountain Road. Nobody's gonna build an R112 home on that kind of property. They won't. There's too much traffic, there's too much noise. And so they wouldn't, they'd be foolish to do that. There were people who lived on that Mountain Road, they lost their house when 89 was widened. It was bought by UDOT. And they're glad that they didn't have to listen to the noise. There's a lot of people that are glad that there's a sound wall, but there is no sound wall at 650 North. And so that town, those condominiums are the sound wall for the rest of the neighborhood. And so that's why we weren't opposed to those condominiums going in there against that. And that was done long before we knew that 89 was going to be widened like it is, and that there was going to be a mountain road where people go 40 to 45 miles an hour. Okay? So the high density housing is something I know that Joe is interested in because that will benefit him, but he is not a resident of Fruit Heights. There's 35 of us that signed that petition that are residents of Fruit Heights, and we just don't want to see it come there. It's going to lower our property values. It will. The amount of traffic on 650 North already has lowered our property values because it's not as quiet a neighborhood as it used to be.
Real quick, so we're over the 3 minutes.
Am I?
If you could maybe
Okay.
take a little bit to wrap
Just
up.
wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't understand why the mayor is pushing for this. I know that you guys are all appointed by the mayor. I don't get it. He's elected by us. And I don't know why he's pushing for this, but obviously he is. And I stand firmly against it because of the economic value that it's going to cause to our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Linda Stepp. I live on 1355 East Altamont Lane. So I am also against the rezoning, and this is why. Joe was not honest with the Van Dremlins in the beginning. He said that he would only do single housing dwellings. And the condominiums that she was talking about are at the beginning of the street, and they have been there. And 2 years ago, when the Planning Commission was looking at this property, somebody on the Planning Commission said, well, there's already condominiums there, so why don't we just keep going up? Why don't we just build more condominiums and then keep going up? And that is what I think will happen. So now he wants to build townhomes, and then there's other property up at the top of the street that is for sale. And what's to keep from zoning there? So I wonder if the Planning Commission, I don't know if this is your job, but I was wondering if one of your job is to designate R16 areas throughout the city. And since there now is an R16 zone, can you go through and designate R16 zones throughout the city so that there are designated areas for this, so that now that whenever there is a property for sale or a house for sale or something, that this just doesn't come up and take the neighbors by surprise or whatever? Can that be designated beforehand? I've also been very disillusioned by the lack of transparency about this. Joe, at the last, I think it was the city council meeting. He said that Brandon Green is the one who approached him, whoops, and he said it was not his idea. He said it was Brandon Green's idea to do this, that Brandon Green from the city approached him to put the condominiums in. So Brandon Green came to the last planning commission meeting when there was only a couple here, and Brandon Green absolutely denied that and said, I did not approach Joe. So I don't know who is lying. I don't know, and I don't know why anybody is lying. Why would somebody do that? And the mayor apologized to the city after the last city council meeting. He apologized to Joe and saying, the city has totally let you down, like, because the zone wasn't passed. And I did not understand that at all, because apparently he had promised Joe that it would pass, but without any input from us as the city, as the people. And so apparently, and he had told all of us, he had written emails to us that we shouldn't write anybody on the city council because it was already a done deal. And so how can the mayor do that? How can he? So I don't know if something is in it for the mayor. So I'm just wondering why this is so hidden and why it's underground. It just doesn't seem to me like it is in our best interest if it has to be so secret, or why is it so? It doesn't seem like it's being brought forth in a transparent manner for all of us to just agree on. We have opinions, and my opinion, I'm a landowner, and my opinion might not agree with Joe's, or might not agree with the city's. I still have an opinion. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna throw a fit or that I don't like the people. It just means I have an opinion. We can all have an opinion, and a difference of opinions are good. Then we can come to a consensus, and then a consensus is good. But to go do undercuts and to say people can't write letters and can't do this, I just don't understand that, and it seems dishonest to me. So that's why I'm not for this, because I'm not sure whose interest this is for. Thank you.
All right, I'm Dave Brendan. I live at 1350 East Oakmont Lane, so I am directly north of this proposed development. I think I've made it very clear, I'm not for this. However, I'm going to maintain my civility through all of this. And I mean, I've had people call me up and tell me I need to get up here and call Joe a dirty, rotten scoundrel and a liar and this and that. And that's not going to accomplish anything. I know Joe, I know his family. I'm only going to speak to the things that I know of. He and I talked about putting up some sort of privacy fence and some trees to minimize the impact to me. Like I said, I'm definitely against it, but I will say this. That right there is the least obtrusive option I've seen presented so far. I'm going to tell you, I feel like this is a foregone conclusion, and these are just boxes that we're checking to go through here. But if I look at that proposed development right there, I mean, Joe could sell that and somebody could come in and build a mega mansion on it, and I'd have even a more obscure view. So I don't want it, but I do appreciate the efforts that he's gone through to make it least impactful to me and my family.
Thank you.
Joe Christensen, I'm a developer. We've tried pretty hard through this process to accommodate as much as we can, as we went from 12 to 10 to 8 to 6, and to bring something beneficial and good to the city of Good Neighbors. And I truly feel that this is a great addition and that the families that will move in here will benefit from all the great neighbors that surround us. Like I said, stated before, I grew up running around this area, created a lot of hell running through there and all the way up, and some of the kids ought to be able to enjoy the same things that I did. And that's what this is gonna bring in to do that. So some of the things that have been stated aren't accurate with the Van Dremel. Just to address that, when we initially talked with them and I sold them that lot, the plan was for single families. But like all of us know, things evolve and change. When different ideas are brought up, that's when that changed. But initially, that was going to be a single. That's why I went through the cost of doing a 4-lot development, and then for some reason, I changed it 3 years ago, and I'm trying to do this ever since. But initially, it was that, and so there's that. But yeah, this is we've done all we can to accommodate, like Dave said, to minimize the impact on him and to really utilize that lot. Also, in regards to Robert Jensen's lot, he's never selling it. He's going to die there like he promises, and it's not going to go to townhomes regardless. And so that's it.
Thank you.
My name is Susan Darger, and I live on Quail Ridge Road. And the way I feel about the property is that it has a very special zoning right now, the R112. You never get it back, ever. You change the zoning, that's it. So I am totally opposed.
Thank you. I believe that's everyone, unless there's someone in the hallway or anything. So I'll go ahead and I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing portion and enter into our own discussion. Any second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So we've talked a lot about this request for rezone. I think it might be the 4th time we've had this come before us now with the iteration of the R16. My thoughts haven't changed much on this. I appreciate some of the concerns raised, and I appreciate some of the thoughts. And Cindy, you did ask what is the purpose of zoning, and I appreciate your research and your thoughts there. The idea of promoting economic growth, maintaining a strong and vibrant community, benefits both the residents and the businesses. I think ultimately, given the scenario we're in, both as a state, as a county, and a city, and particularly our city, where we don't have the same land availability and opportunities to open up our city to younger families and those in a less economic advantageous situation, that when we have an opportunity to provide housing for younger families, I think that is a benefit for our city. I've seen cities, my grandparents, they lived for 50 years in Glendale, California, which when they moved there was a vibrant, young community. By the time they passed away, there was almost no families there. It was all people very aged out, and no one could afford to move into those communities, to those homes. And I see what that can do to a city, and granted they were in LA County, so there's a lot of issues that created issues that they were dealing with in their city. But I don't think that's going to be a benefit to the city. I don't think it's going to be a benefit to the neighborhood. I think it's a benefit to be able to, as much as possible, have a range of housing options. I live near Cherry Hill, and within my reachable community is manufactured homes and established single family and the Somerset condos. And I feel like that mix, it's a healthy thing. It brings kind of economic diversity, and I think it's a benefit to our city. So I understand the concerns, and we've addressed this to Joe in the past. I can't speak one way or the other to what was represented, what wasn't represented, but, you know, I encourage Joe to find every way, like he has been, to work out a solution that can benefit the neighboring families. But I'm in favor of the rezone. I think it's a positive thing. I think the R16 it sets up the limitations that were some of the great concerns that people had about the R3, but I am in favor still.
I think this is a much better plan than the box of 4. That just has a whole different feel to it. I am still troubled with we have a relatively new subdivision and taking half of that subdivision out of that where a lot has been sold and built on. And I think of the developments we have around the city, if we end up with lots up on the Rockloff Ridge development that turn out to be not sellable, how are we going to address that? Would we do the same thing for lots up there? Because in today's market, that's a possibility. Same with the Barker property that they're developing. They may end up with properties that may not. And so I hesitate, particularly when I went back and listened to Matt's testimony and then went back and read his letter. Because when we moved into the city, we bought a piece of property and house and a service station developer bought the property behind us and was pushing to put the service station on where would have been in our backyard, a 24-hour service station. And it was not in our subdivision. We didn't have that subdivision protection. The city did not think that was in the city's best interest at the time, and thank goodness for us it didn't happen. But I can understand the turmoil where they bought a lot and invested in a house. It's worth a lot of money. And Robert Jensen and I are the same age, and I'm not going to live forever, and neither is Robert. So that that lot will be sold when he moves his toys off of it at some point. And I don't see another house going in there myself. This is all the trailers parked on it right now. Trailers and toys. So I do think that's a very good possibility that somebody will want to put 2 or 3 units on that lot. So that's the impact it could have on the Van Drillers. So that's my hesitation on this. I do have one question. As I zoomed in on this plot, it's got a 15-foot setback. I don't think this is a big issue, but the zone, I think, has a 20-foot setback to the back.
Yeah, so that'll have to be rectified.
Okay.
That's not a big deal.
Yeah, there's
Remember that
plenty of room.
this is just a rezone. They will have to come back for a full site plan approval.
And the site plan would have to fit the requirements for the R16 if it passes.
So, yeah, so those things like that, although that's nice to point that out, yeah, that's still all gotta be fixed.
Thank you. I'm glad you're aware of it. Thank you.
I think it makes a lot of sense. It's a great buffer in between. Undeveloped land it's a risk, especially with things up the road. Davis County, the gun club, the East Wilderness Park. It's all on the way. But I mean, if you look at it the other way, it's also not right for a single family home. I don't think anybody wants to go to a single family home right next to 8. So I don't think our house right next to it. So I agree. It should be something different. shouldn't be in R112. I think this makes a lot of sense. I like your comment about how it's a good, I like your comment about how it's not exactly what you wanted, but it's a good concession from where it's from 12 to 6. Like where we ultimately came from and are at.
So, yeah, I would agree. I think it works for the neighborhood. I think having an R16 is good for our community. It makes sense to me where it's at in the city. Just, I mean, you only have another street or two to the north, but before you're out of the city, and it's right up against 90 and right up against the development. I think plan to the south is, I don't even guess, would be potential for additional multifamily at some point in the future. So, I appreciate, I think there was a misstep comment about updating, or just kind of noting where in the city it makes sense. I think now we have the R16 zone, it would make sense to update the master plan list kind of ideal areas or suggested areas for the R16 zone. I 100% agree that the citizens should know kind of what the plan is for the city. They don't like really changing depending on who's sitting in these seats at that time. But then we should have a plan for the city. As I think last meeting, somebody discussed, we're built out when we got 40 acres.
Yeah, 40, 50 acres.
That's not built on, so we're basically entering this next phase of our city's life cycle, right? Where we're going to be looking at more projects. So I think it's just part of the aging of a city.
I also really like the suggestion by Linda about designating those zones. And I think that's come up a couple times in the past 3 meetings. And I think it'd be great for us at some point in the next couple months to revisit, now that we have the whole general plan redone, to be able to just focus in on the map with this sort of thing in mind. What can we designate as potential future sites now that we have R16 too, because then we have more tools to kind of.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I really appreciate they made it as I feel like it has to be down to that. I don't like making it work, so I like it works. I do feel it's really important to designate some areas for R16 to make, there are areas that make sense. Like I said, there's not a lot of raw land left. Infill is the natural next step of the city. It's happening in Centerville, it's happening all of that. Like what CW Urban, that's all they do now. That's where, I mean, all they do is infill. They don't do very many big pieces of raw land. So we do need to designate that. So when property seller people know where they're going, they feel comfortable. I think townhomes are a really nice transition to a single family home. I don't personally, in having done real estate for a long time, I don't think it lowers people's property values. I think the existing property and the trailer park next to it lower people's property values. I would be way more concerned about the trailer park next to me because I really love the use. But very nice Mr. Jensen owns over townhomes, so it would be nice to maintain. I'm assuming there'd be an HOA. I feel like if the city council passes it, if we approve it, it would be nice in a development agreement to agree to put X amount of trees. It would give some, privacy around the perimeters to neighboring properties or homes. I just think that would be a good thing to do, a neighborly thing to do, trees that would, feel like, give them more privacy. How about that? Those are my thoughts. I am pro-development, but I'm pro-development in the right way. And when we made the new zone, I really think it'd be great over the summer for us to sit down and with the city council, I don't know how that works, and put a big map out and take a table and have everyone kind of hash it out so that it's not something that's a surprise to people. Because there are when that happens, city gets run down. I mean, my grandparents, it was great then, and I wouldn't drive on the street now, we ran on the street, infill has to happen, rebirth has to happen, all that has to happen for cities to stay, I don't know, I don't know what the word is, but, right, to keep good citizens who want to be the better city.
No, I think those are great thoughts. I really like the idea on the development agreement to create some of these expectations that have been built into the discussions that Joe has had with some of the neighbors. And any other thoughts, any other questions for the staff or staff, any other input based on what we've discussed before we proceed to a vote?
I mean, I'm assuming it's sort of the way to maintain the road and all of those things, correct? Because it's a private.
Yeah, it's a private drive.
Yeah, be off HOA.
Yeah.
I like your idea of trees. Trees are a real natural air conditioning, and they cool the street.
You've got, Cynthia's got my mind whirling when she says, what's the purpose of zoning? It took me clear back to college. But I just, some commentary on that. If you ask me, what's the purpose of zoning? I'm gonna say it's to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of this city. But the reason for zoning originally was you had cities like New York and the fire was starting to burn half the city to the ground. Those were the beginnings of codes and setbacks and regulations to stop that stuff from happening. Zoning goes clear back to the 1800s. And it goes back a long time, and it's come through a lot of reiterations, but if you ask me what's the purpose of zoning, that's the first thing I think about. I mean, that's planning 101. Is, they used to, in the 1800s, it burned these cities nearly to the ground, and they said, we got to stop doing this. So that was the beginning of the reason that you had zoning. There you go.
You know, I said some negative things about this, but the positive is we need to limit how many driveways come out on that road. And this limits that to one driveway. We have a private lane. And I think that helps with the safety.
Unless there's other thoughts or comments, I think we can move forward. I would entertain a motion at this time.
Motion for the rezone of the plat to be rezoned to an R1.
Do we want to just, at this point, we just want to tie it to the site plan, do we want to say anything about this?
That'll come with the site plan, right? In development
Yeah,
agreement.
we'll come back with the site plan, whether it's necessary to do a development agreement or not, we'll talk about that, but we'll come back with a site plan that shows all of the details. Landscaping, make sure all the setbacks are right, profiles of the housing types, all of that stuff. So expect to see that back in a site plan format. But you can mention that and make it part of your motion if you would like, that there's the expectation that this will come back with additional details on how those buildings look and they lay out and things of that nature, sizes. Yeah, if it's necessary to have an HOA, probably they got some landscaping to take care of. There's a driveway, so probably as
The private road would require an HOA because it.
yeah,
Maintain it, take care of it, storm and all kinds.
I mean, he still has to come back to preliminary final, so.
Well, let me just remind you, Brian, that we're in a different subdivision world than we used to be now.
Just final?
It's not just preliminary, so in this particular case, we would intend to bring back a site plan review that shows all of these details you're talking about, but remember, which would essentially act as a preliminary review, but it'll really be in final format.
But that's administrative review, the preliminary.
The preliminary comes to the planning commission, and then the final is approved administratively. Nothing goes to the city council now, except the rezone. But you can make the rezone subject to what you're looking at right there.
If there's a development agreement, then that would have.
Yeah, that would have to come to the city council as well.
I prefer to leave it in your hands, but maybe someone else throw out a motion if you like.
But we will intend to bring back the details of what you're not seeing right there.
I mean, this isn't Rockland Estates, it's 0.8 acres, so.
Yeah.
I motion to rezone 1357 East, 650 North from RS 12 to an RS 6.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
I was opposed based on my comments earlier.
Okay.
But I don't hold anything against anyone that votes for it.
No, and I appreciate all the input from everyone, and I appreciate those of you, you guys have come, this is your third or fourth meeting in a row, we really do appreciate your involvement, and I understand this is a highly difficult issue, especially those of you who live closer, and again, we appreciate your civility, we appreciate your involvement, and hope that you'll continue to come and share your thoughts. It does help guide our thought process. With that done, I think we now are moving to our further discussion on the backyard chicken ordinance, and we've had some discussion about putting together a survey to get some more general and maybe anonymized feedback from more people in the city.
So at the last council meeting, during the council, just their discussion at the end of the meeting, they thought it would be a good idea to go back to the planning commission, because this chicken ordinance is kind of taking forever to figure out, and possibly do a survey. And so the recommendation from the council was to come back and the planning commission had come up with some questions that they would think would be appropriate to send out to the community. Not only to get the voices of those who are 100% for chickens, but those that may not be saying anything, that are just don't want to say anything because they don't want their neighbor to be mad or whatever, but would be willing to answer on the survey how they feel. So that was my email the other day that I sent out.
How many people responded on the cemetery?
Yeah, that's a good question.
We have over.
Like, is it worth it, or are we really gonna get, are we just gonna get the same? I don't know.
We had over 602 people who responded
Oh, what is it?
to the cemetery survey. That will actually be coming out, the results of this round, putting some stuff. And I'll let you know, the results were 46% said yes, they would like the cemetery. 42%, I believe, said no. It's very close. And also, they want no taxpayer dollars was in the high 60s%. You spend on it.
Well, it's pretty hard to fund it.
It's very the other part of that was, it was very high on the numbers that wanted it completely manicured with grass and all that kind of stuff. So there's another thing to throw out there. So yeah, there's more people want a cemetery, but they don't want to pay for it. That's kind of how it came down.
So Larkin's gonna do it out of their goodness of their heart, right?
I will tell you this, I know at Fruitless Mortuary up there, we walked the site, and they flat out said, you're about $3.5 million before you put the first body in the ground.
Wow.
And if you're city residents. You better have a huge budget to cover all the costs of this,
$10,000.
probably 15 to 20. So, but that information can come out here pretty quick. We're just.
So but it was a good response.
Yeah, we actually had.
Got a lot of engagement. Well, was that mostly, were you guys able to track the traffic? Was that like through Facebook or where did people, was it? Were you able to see where they?
I mean, we put it out on our social media, we actually put some signs out, and we just tried to get it out. So, put it out on the bill, you know, there's a little message on the bill, a little thing in the Ridge Runner that says, hey, the survey's coming up, please take it. But just want to make sure we have some questions. So I put some questions together, I sent that out, Kevin's had some questions, and Justin has some questions, and I think it's just something that we gotta look at real quick. Maybe we pick 10 questions and send it out.
Yeah, I thought Heidi had a good comment that people are gonna have an appetite for the amount of questions. But I thought there were a lot of good questions there. Maybe we can weed out some of them and just, I'd love to get, if we got the same sort of response like we did on the cemetery, I think that'd be very valuable.
Go ahead.
Can I just make a comment on that? Because as we bounced back and forth and we had the little town hall meeting and people talked about how many, and then we talked about, we've got the RS 12 that's already existing, and I looked at that and it has 24 chickens per 20,000 square feet, which comes to 866 instead of 1,000, or 833. And, if we just have a little formula, if it's based on lot size, and we don't go below 10,000, we could just continue that number throughout the city, and it would be easier to administer.
Oh, how many people are gonna do that? I am 1,000 square feet less than you, so I have 2 less chickens in my next one. I don't know if they.
I think most people that have chickens are gonna have them.
Yeah.
Like realistically, it seems to me like we're potentially making this mountain out of molehill. And I don't know what that matters.
I do track that. I know that's been expressed. The one thing is, I think there are rule keepers that won't do it until they have the approval. And it'd be nice to have something on that. And I do like the idea, we talked about this, maybe last meeting before, the idea of potentially tying it to a conditional use permit, no matter what, except for like the existing RS12s and A1s, who obviously would have that existing right.
And if we did do the conditional use, then we could do the math. Takes 30 seconds.
The more I think about it, the more I like that idea. I use my own personal experience. I have 2 backyard neighbors that both have chickens. One of them, you've never heard a peep out of, and they keep everything. You didn't even know they had chickens back there. He's, got like 4 or 5. The other guy, his chickens are all over the whole neighborhood. He keeps bringing in roosters. He's driving everybody crazy. It stinks. It's a mess. And the conditional use would handle all that, because when all the neighbors start complaining, you just come in here and say your conditional use is revoked. And you can just do it on a case-by-case basis. So you either mind your manners and fly under the radar, or you're going to be revoked. And so you can just deal with the bad ones and not have to get into a big to-do over it. Just say, you just can't, you haven't abided by, because we put all these new rules in effect, and we don't even have anybody to enforce the rules of not having chickens. And you put all these rules in effect, and how are we going to, go out there and say, well, you can only have this and that, you can only have 6 chickens, and they've got 8. There's nobody to look after all that stuff. And so you just come in and say, here's the rules. If you don't abide by them, then you'll have nothing. And that's easy to enforce, because you can just go out there and say, if you have 1 chicken, on this property, you're in violation. It just feels like a good way to handle it.
Right.
So what's our role in the survey?
I think we submitted our questions. We take the survey. We definitely, all of us will take the survey. And then you'll bring it back to us, what, in a couple months, and we'll hash it out. and try to-
Hopefully, a month. Yeah, we don't have to be out for very long.
Okay.
As long as I got some questions,
Sweet.
we'll put them out and then go from there.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Lot size is obviously number, number two, are those?
How many questions do you want, Aaron?
I think 10 sounds good.
I don't think you want to go more than 10.
I would go over 10.
Good.
Seven, but six,
Seven's better than 10.
7?
I'm just thinking, I'm like.
No, you're good.
I'm like, it doesn't look overwhelming, I know, but
How many questions was the cemetery, by the way?
it's like six.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, so it's like kind of nesting doll and some questions.
There's probably 10 to 12 questions on that one.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
I think the permit one, if that's something you're conditional, I mean, I think that's important when we need conditionally.
That'd be my vote right now today.
But have that be a question too, just to see if 100% of people are like, no. As a neighbor, I would want it because I would not be happy if someone shared it in the yard.
But to be fair, I didn't know what a conditional use permit was until 3 years ago, and I've been an attorney for 10 years, which is embarrassing because I've been dealing with
So
real
maybe
estate.
like a different verbiage saying like the conditional, use, just a permit. People understand.
Yeah, I think that would be
But
helpful.
I mean, conditional.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
Lot size,
I think you're right, if it's done right. I have a neighbor that's wanted chickens for a long time, and we've told him, hey, it's not legal in our zone yet, and he's held off. He's
Real
obeying.
neighbor,
And my granddaughter told me that our neighbor got chickens, and I thought, oh, we went ahead and did it. And we never looked over the fence, and there's no chicken coop.
I don't think we
And
need to ask
I
them.
realized it was another neighbor, and I've never heard or smelled it. So, I'm sorry.
No, I just said, I don't know if we need to ask them if we need ordinance, because we need one. I think we need a chicken ordinance, because so many zones, it's not allowed at all.
Maybe,
It's very interesting.
maybe Darren, if you want to put together, either aggregate all the questions and then shoot it out to us again, maybe we can just strike what we think is irrelevant or something like that.
Yeah, but like,
Oh, you did.
Yeah, I send it out, so if you guys want to take a look at it,
Okay.
send it back to me.
Is it one of the live team documents?
I can put it in Teams. I emailed you, a couple, last week, or last week.
Oh, yeah.
So here's all the questions I've received, and here's some questions that I put on
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
I may have missed it, so I'll go look at it. Sorry.
Yeah, would you? And then that way we can collectively make comments and stuff and get
Do you
it.
just want it in this meeting folder?
Uh,
Where would it be best?
However, I don't know, whenever you share individually the documents, they show up. I don't know if that's you just putting it in the folder and then I get an email.
Yeah, that's
But however you're doing it, works great because it just shoots me a reminder.
We'll just put it in this one right now.
Cool.
And then you guys will all see it.
Sweet.
Just an interesting side story. This chicken craze became a big thing when COVID hit.
Oh, yeah.
And this self-sustainability, and I read an article about a week or so ago that said nationally, this whole big hoorah over chickens is largely dissipating, and that people are figuring out that keeping chickens is a lot of work and a lot of trouble, and that a dozen eggs really doesn't cost that much money. And so this kind of has felt like a trend that is now headed back down, that it's not so important as people think it is. So I just think that's, you know, things come and go. And sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. This isn't the first time this has come up. It's probably the 5th time it's come up, and we've yet to institute an ordinance, and everybody seems to still be healthy. So
Yeah, we got that, by the way.
it's just, that's just some interesting,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, when the 6th time comes up, maybe we'll have something on the books.
Yeah. People
All right.
still have scrambled eggs.
Yeah. All right.
My only suggestion, if you have a, like the last question there, no change or update, I would just have like, I don't know, or NA, rather than forcing somebody to make a decision. If they don't know, I'd rather them say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just so it's the responses, we understand what they.
It's been like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, for the response by next meeting.
Plow through.
Internet.
Cool. All righty. Well, I think that unless anyone else has anything more on our survey or potential survey, I think we can move forward.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I think you got right to the point.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Oh, I'm in favor.
Okay, all in favor, aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Our next meeting is the 25th.
It's actually gonna be the 26th. It's a Wednesday, the 25th is primary, so we need to go.
Right. I was gonna ask about that. So that's gonna move.
June 26th.
Okay, thank you.
I'll be at it soon.
I should be there for that one. And then just for housekeeping, is July gonna be any different? It's still gonna be like the 23rd?
July 23rd is our next meeting in July.
Well, there's June 26th, and then there's July 23rd, our following one.
That would be a bad day to have a meeting.
Okay, so that one probably will be moving too.
You wanna move it to the 24th?
Yeah, we don't, yeah, that, nobody wants to come to a meeting in July 23rd.
I'd rather come on Friday the 26th than on the 23rd.
So should we move it to the 30th?
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah,
around.
let's do that. Let's say that.
All right.
Can we do that? We quote.
Yeah, those